Which one of these signal callers is under the most pressure? And to pull back the curtain a little bit, we have these emails that come out. We all have to respond. And this naturally happened as we all picked a different guy, which kind of tells you the nature of the NFC East and their quarterbacks.
Very true. And I picked a different guy, and I went with Dak Prescott. The notion of, for me, the Cowboys are supposed to be the best team in that division. We had a conversation last week where we said, are the Cowboys one of the power teams in the NFC? Are they one of those that we talked about, the big three? Are they number 4? This is the way we talk about the Dallas Cowboys. We talk about the possibility of them winning the Super Bowl. We put them in that position. And for me, Dak Prescott is the guy that pressure falls under. We talked about Mike McCarthy being on the hot seat. We get different sound bites from Jerry Jones about everything going on with the team. We know that their receiver position right now, Michael Gallup is coming off a big injury. They have CeeDee Lamb. There's question marks on the outside as well. We talked about Ezekiel Elliott's contract. There's so much going on with the Dallas Cowboys all the time, and that all falls on Dak Prescott because the expectations haven't changed. We're still expecting them to be at the top of the NFC. We're expecting them to make the run. Cowboys fans are still waiting for the Dallas Cowboys to get back to the playoffs and make a run and be the Super Bowl team that we saw in the 90s. So for me, it's Dak Prescott because the world loves the Cowboys. Everybody loves Jerry's world, and we want to see them on top.
Absolutely. If we're talking pressure, I have a hard time saying it's anybody other than Carson Wentz. When you are in your third stop in 3 years, and we know the way things ended in Philadelphia, we know the way that things ended in Indianapolis, and then before you've even played a game, you do an interview where somebody's trying to get under your skin and asking really poorly worded questions. The team president has to get on Twitter and fight over the reporter and threaten access if you're covering and asking questions like that, and he gets into a spat. First of all, this only happens in Washington. Secondly, it only happens surrounding Carson Wentz. There's just this drama that follows him. Carson Wentz last year, everybody loses sight of the fact that he played pretty well.
I know.
Set aside those last 2 games, which of course you can't. Terrible against the Raiders after missing the week with COVID. Terrible the following week against the Jaguars. The whole team played badly against Jacksonville. But those previous 15 games, it was pretty good. He'd have 1 or 2 plays in the game where he's throwing a left-handed interception out of his end zone for no particular reason. But, if you look at the stats, if you look at the tape, he made a lot of plays. This is a good quarterback, but you've got to be able to calm everything else down around him. And the other part of this and the reality in the NFL, and Jason, you didn't have to live this when you were in New England. You were other places, I'm sure, where you had this. But the moment that the quarterback who is under pressure and has that drama surrounding them has a bad game or a bad play, it swells up from underneath you, and you start to hear about, why don't they play Sam Howell? Why don't they play Heineke? They're going to have to deal with that if he doesn't come out firing. I know that Scott Turner's going to get the absolute maximum out of Carson Wentz. Is that good enough, and can he avoid all those pitfalls to live up to that pressure this year? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, he's perfect because this is Act 3 now, and there probably is no Act 4. He's got that kind of pressure. Any one of these answers is right. You could just pick, spin it and pick.
Yeah.
The pressure I don't think Carson does have necessarily are the massive expectations. Like, you got to win the division this year, you got to go to the playoffs. I think that goes to Jalen Hurts, who has his own original kind of pressure. Interesting dichotomy with Hurts. There is this beautiful air of positivity around him where he's very well liked. He seems like a great guy, and he was in the playoffs last year. But then there's this undercurrent of pressure and tension, and in the middle is Jalen Hurts. The pressure and tension being like, dude, we got 2 first-round picks next year. There's a million good quarterbacks coming out. If you're 8-9 this year, I think we're moving on. Because if you can't, with those 2 wide receivers that we've given you and that offensive line that we've given you, if you can't get us 10 wins in this division, I don't think you're the guy. We like you, and you seem like you're pretty good. We're looking for someone who is very good/great, and we don't think you're there yet. The market he's in, the setup he's been given with Devontae and AJ and Lane and Kelsey, let's go and play ball, buddy. That playoff game, it's the same thing. You were there, that's great. You didn't look good, that was terrible. Everything about Jalen Hurts is a good, it's like those theater masks, like the smiling one and the frowning one, that's where he is right now. And he needs to work on the frowning one because there is a lot of pressure there in Philadelphia. But Jamie, do you want to complete the set?
I do.
Yeah!
Because there is no wrong answer, but my answer completely revolves around the sentence that I continue to base my analysis of Daniel Jones on, which is You are the quarterback of the New York Giants. Play like you are going to be the quarterback of the New York Giants. Prove it. And the prove it is capital P, capital I for this young man, and that is why he is under the most pressure. He is literally playing at the biggest fork in the road of his career. You can't tell me that if he goes out and blows it out of the water this year and signs a 10-year extension with the Giants, that there would be another fork in the road as big as the one that he is playing in right now. They don't pick up the option. He's playing for an extension. He is under every eyeball in the league is on this guy. And in this preseason, still just this performances that are good. The numbers, they look solid. But I continue to come back to, is the byline Daniel Jones played, period, or Daniel Jones played? Daniel Jones played. And like that to me is the definition of what he has gone through this preseason. But the pressure to be the quarterback of the New York Giants, to put your name on the list with Eli Manning and Phil Simms, he's just not there yet. But I cannot take pressure from anybody else except for him.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a perfect set, guys. Great job.
My thing is, Dak is the best quarterback of the four that we just named.
Yeah.
So that means the expectation is
He's
higher.
right on that cusp of he's really good.
He's the most accomplished.
But he's not at that elite level.
Right.
And the only thing that's going to get him there, deep playoff runs in Super Bowls.
Absolutely. And for the team that he plays for, again, it's like the perfect fit of like these quarterbacks that happen to play for these organizations, and it's just the expectation of the quarterback and the team that the organization that they play for is unbelievable.